All right, beautiful souls, welcome. Welcome back or welcome to The Hawk and I. My name is Lana Zelinsky and I work in the spirit dimensions. As always, in all my videos or all my live feeds, simply take what resonates and you're welcome to leave the rest right here. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I'm here with the energy update for today, for the week. Actually, it's a beautiful energy that's coming in with a little bit of turbulence that we're gonna have to navigate and manage through. So, buckle up and enjoy the ride. And it's literally how Spirit told me that this morning was literally just buckle up and enjoy the ride. And I think sometimes we fight that sometimes. Trust is a big theme again this week. And the words freshen up those spiritual practices, a little bit of spiritual spring cleaning is on the table this week for those of us who are feeling that way. It's time to kind of freshen up and take a look at what resonates and take a look at what doesn't, and clarity and grounding is another theme that's coming in. I hope you enjoy this update. I sat with it for quite a bit because I was like, oh, ooh. I had my moments where I was like, oh, and then Spirit was like, no, just hold on, just hang in there. It's about freshening up. It's about that sprucing up how you feel, sprucing up the energy. There's a big freshen up, and literally, Spirit showed me that in so many different ways on nourishing ourselves and nurturing ourselves through this energy this week, because it feels good, but like a lot of us, sometimes when it comes to being able to let go or spring clean our energy, we kind of have that, oh my gosh, letting go doesn't always feel that great, or being able to spring clean ourselves brings us into this new space. As always, the energy is changing, the physical world's changing, us spiritually are changing. We're always kind of changing and growing. That's what we're here to do. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to learn, we're here to grow. And we need to be able to freshen up sometimes. So, taking a look this week at what that might feel like for you. If something doesn't resonate with you anymore, it's truly okay to say, you know what, that served me then. It's not serving me now. And it's not a bad thing if something's not serving you right now. And with that, being able to nourish ourselves in what does and nurture ourselves through that process. And I have, many times over my spiritual journey, I've like, well, that doesn't resonate with me right now, but it did for so many years. And it's okay to lovingly let things go and freshen up and spring clean and bring ourselves into that nourishing space. I felt a lot of clarity coming in. And as I sat in that clarity energy, I suddenly wasn't able to feel my feet. And Spirit was like, ground yourself back into that clarity energy, bring yourself back in. Sometimes clarity brings us into a space of, ooh, I really wanted to see that. And I really needed to have that answer. And then also clarity can come in with an energy of I didn't really see that, but it really needs to happen that way, and trusting that process. Another piece that came in was this whole trust healing, and trust healing energy is going to be a big one for many of us over the next couple weeks. I'll probably be talking about that again. We have been working through a lot of trust. We have been working through a lot of healing, and sometimes that trust healing energy can be very difficult, learning to trust again or trusting the process or trusting things are going to line up. Things might not be happening exactly how we felt or how we saw, and things can change on a dime sometimes, right? And when things kind of pivot for me, when I struggle with, I didn't see that coming, or I didn't feel it that way, or this is what I kind of felt was going to happen, and then I struggle with that whole trust, right? We struggle with, well, I trusted that and it was a gong show. When we kind of lean in with that trusting piece and kind of realigning it and working through that healing energy and working through healing that trust space, there are things that we need to learn when things kind of go left to center, when things kind of take a right turn. It's about learning, and it's not necessarily being wrong in what you thought was coming in at you. Or I trusted that and it didn't work out. It's about, there was something else there for us to learn, and we don't always hold all the answers, and we don't always have that deep feelings of, okay, this is 100% the way to go, but there's things that we need to learn along the way, and that's huge. And the whole trust healing energy is coming up coming up at us very loud this week about being able to trust that healing process within, being able to trust, okay, that, I learned this and that and this and that from the past, and now I'm learning something new. And being able to trust people is a big one, right? That can be a big one, being able to trust and learn, being able to trust and learn. I also felt when I come up to that freshen up energy, and you don't have to answer in the chat, but how many of you really struggle with letting things go, with or not picking it up? Like anything that when I say that freshen up and clarity and trust, how many of you like struggle with that? I do, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few of us, and it comes into this whole fear of, well, we don't want to learn that again. Well, it didn't go well that time. We go back into that, and I always kind of remind myself, new day, new lessons, new journey, trusting the process, being able to lean in there and being able to trust yourself is a huge one. Our relationship with ourself is going to change with this freshen up energy. And it's okay. It's okay to shift and change and to be able to change our mind and be able to change our direction. We do struggle with that, right? Because there's so much around us in the physical world. Then Spirit said to me, really watch this week what you're picking up, like what you're leaning into. If it's not your stuff, back in your lane, there's going to be some stuff coming up this week where it's going to be, do I need to pick that up? Do I need to have a response right now? Can I give myself some time to freshen up? Spiritual deodorants thing. Can I give myself some time before I pick it up so that I can have the clarity, so that I can nourish myself in that decision, so that I can nurture myself through that process? We don't have to react to all things all the time. And if you can just start slowly inserting that into your mindset, if you can slowly start asking yourself that question, do I have to pick this up right now? Most times we don't have to. We can say, I'll sit with that. Can you give me some time to process that? And simply being able to verbalize that to other people can be really hard. Can I give you an answer in an hour? Just give yourself some time to really come in and pick up and lean into that clarity and to be able to process that a little bit more. It's going to be a week of that. I really took note myself, and I'm really going to practice that this week with, I need to freshen up and I need to sit with the clarity and allow myself some time to come in. And I'm going to ask myself, do I really need to be involved? Do I really need to pick that up? Do I really want to do that? We need to be able to have that nourish and self-love and that space to realign before we interject into something. And when you think about how many times, and I'll put my hand up on this one too, how many times have you gotten involved in something that was like, I should have just stayed out of that? Right? That's what this week is going to bring in a little bit and probably trickle into next week. And if that doesn't come up for you this week, just kind of remember that. Well, do I have to pick it up? Do I have to tap into that? I also feel this week, as far as a little bit of that sleep stuff, I feel like this new moon energy is going to keep a few of us, if not many of us, awake at night. So try to do your processing and asking for your clarity earlier in the day if you can, because I really feel this new moon energy is going to be like tapping at several of us. Aaron, I always do that. Should have left that alone. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Aaron. It comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. So just kind of keep that in your spiritual toolbox, Aaron, is just giving yourself a little bit of time to ask for the clarity, to get yourself more grounded, to deal with something. And sometimes that, we may have to go through something or or tackle something, but we need to make sure that we're coming in at it from a grounded space. So I'll literally, okay, my feet are on the ground. I just find me a tree to sit with, and then just so I can come into something grounded, because sometimes we do have to get involved in something or we have to go through something, but it's grounded clarity. And it was a very different way for me to kind of tap into that myself. So I'm learning myself for me this morning with the channeling that I did, that grounded clarity. I need clarity and grounding before I can make a decision, or before I can have a reaction, or before I can really tap into that. I hope that this resonates with some of you. I'll take a scroll up and have a look at some of the questions. I have a little bit of time today. I do have some sessions this morning on Zoom and in person this evening, and I'm very excited for both. Oh, Fran, go Bruins. I'm not gonna pick that one up this morning because I really don't want to have people coming at me. See how that worked? You see how that worked, right? I say I'm not gonna pick that one. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna have a chuckle with it. All right. So where do we need to go here? A lot of you's joining me this morning. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That's what she said. Lana, Charles didn't come back. Therefore, the move didn't happen. Do you have any insight to what's going on? I'm a little bit surprised. I'm a little bit surprised, but it comes back into that trust fall space. That's what she said. And I just have to trust the pause. I don't feel this is a permanent delay. I'm a little bit surprised with the delay. And it comes back into sometimes we don't know. We know we have that surprise feelings. We thought something was going to go a certain way. I don't feel bad with it. And I literally wanted to shrug my shoulders. So what? He didn't come home. I needed to kind of like it's I feel like it's gonna unravel. I feel like I just gotta give it time. I feel like I have to come back into that grounded clarity. I feel like I just have to work on that trust space. I'm gonna trust the journey with all of this. And I just have to allow time to not be a factor. And when I lean in there, I really have to lean into that time is not a factor. And as much as there may be a little bit of disappointment, I have to trust when you and I can hear you, in your own thoughts. You always want what's meant to be, or or let me reword that. You always want what's for your highest good. So if a pause or a delay is for your highest good, I'm just going to lean in there and say, okay, spirit, I'm going to be patient and I'm going to allow that. I am a little bit surprised though with that energy, but I don't feel like anything has shifted, and it feels a little bit odd to say that because there's been a delay, but I don't feel like there's been a shift there. Um, Alorandra, I hope I pronounced that right. Hello, Lana. I was wondering if Spirit could tell us if I'll ever get into remission with my hyperthyroidism and not to end up needing the iodine radiation. Okay, so I do feel you are going to get into remission, but I feel the healthcare system supporting you. So I feel like in order to get there, there's going to be like a healthcare support to get you there. So whether or not that's the iodine radiation, I'm not sure, but I do feel like you're going to need some help getting in there with the hyperthyroid. And it's medical community. That's how I feel it there. It's going to help you. Travis, as I learn to communicate with my spirit guide, I keep getting the name Tyler. No, I know you mentioned Jonah, but can you tell me if Tyler is a spirit guide? And if so, what he is here to help me with? So, Travis, the first thing that I have to say to you is number one, we do have several spirit guides. If you're hearing a name, you need to trust it. And because that is your spirit guide. And if you're getting any kind of communication, you need to trust that. I feel like one of the things that you're learning right now is I feel like you're learning to go back into your lane and forward momentum. That forward healing, that forward letting go, that forward clarity. I feel like that's kind of because I keep seeing your rearview mirror being taken, like looking back kind of thing. You're not going that way. The journey has shifted. And I feel like that's the kind of the message that I need to go. But I also feel that I need to give it back to you and to trust what you're receiving and trusting what you're feeling. Spirit always brings us into the space that we need to be. And I feel like you've got to lean in there. Mandy, a Green Hill, freshen up, nurturing. I need cleaning up. So much turbulence, clarity, and trust is needed. Going to sit with this today, crying a lot over the past few weeks. Crying is a beautiful release, Mandy, and it is hard when we go through that turbulence. And sometimes, and I'll be brutally honest, that whole freshen up and that spiritual spring clean, that can be a really hard one because we do struggle with letting go. And sometimes letting go means people too, right? It's time to lovingly from my heart space let you go. I wish you well on your journey, without getting involved in all the other floating pieces that we tend to want to lean in on. And being able to like just clean it up. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to work on the healing and I'm going to work on that timeline with myself and giving myself that space to let go. Matriarch astrology, Lana. Any is on my any is on my marriage. I just want to know what I bring spiritually to the table when it comes to our relationship. I've been asking myself, what do I bring him 12 years together? I think you both bring a lot to each other. And here's one thing that I really wanted to, and pick it up if it resonates. If it doesn't, leave it here. I'm perfectly okay with that. I feel like there's a lot of love and support that you bring there. And I feel like I've got to like leave it on a buffet table and then see if I let them pick it up when they want to. Let him pick it up when he wants to. And I feel that we need to do that in all relationships. And I feel like in relationships, there's partnership, but there's also separation. So I don't know if one of you struggles with doing our own things alone or needing more of that. But I feel like you bring so much love and support, and I feel like I just got to put it there and let them pick it up. I also feel with the navigation system, I feel like you're both dialed in on the same navigation system. Like, so for me, that means like you're both wanting to go in the same direction, and you both have a different way of getting there, if that makes sense to you. I also have to remind you that everybody grows in their own direction, in their own way. And even people that I love very, very dearly, they may not be spiritual, and that's okay. I'm going to stay in my own lane with my belief systems, and people will support that or won't support that, and it's okay. I do feel though that very supportive energy there, but I do also feel very different energy there. Like it's like very different people. And I just have to lay things out for someone to pick up. And if they pick it up, great. If they don't, great. I hope that makes sense there for you. Trust healing is very accurate for you, Aaron. I literally told you I think it was amazing that you fully trusted. And fully trusting. So, when we and here's the thing with trust. We're really good at it when it's easy. When we trust something and it doesn't go the way that we planned or the way that we wanted or the way that we thought, then we kind of don't want to trust again, right? And I always say, okay, there was a lesson in that. It's not that I didn't read the energy wrong, or that you read the energy wrong. It could be, where was the lesson in that? And that's a big one, because sometimes it was like, and I said to Spirit, what the heck? I trusted that. I was shown that, and I went, and I now I'm going through this. And Spirit said, "Yeah, there's a delicious learning in all of this, and it's about being able to embrace all of the learning, right? The hard and the easy." Um, Trust is so important to be a healthy collaborator, co-creator with Spirit. Absolutely. It took me a long time to get there, but I trust Spirit more than I trust the physical world, even when it's hard. It's my go-to place. Spirit has never led me in the wrong direction. Spirit has led me through some learning, and that's kind of how I look at it when things don't go perfect. Because working with Spirit, believe me, doesn't mean that I'm not going to go through my own learning or have that turbulent piece myself where I'm learning. And sometimes, when spirit whispers these words to me, how much do you trust? And I have had those words whispered to me at several points in my many crossroads in life. How much do you trust? And when I hear that, it's that solid reminder of where my trust level is. How much do you trust? Okay. Um, Lan, I got a question for you about past lives. Do you think it's possible for our spirits to relive a life? I believe our spirits can jump in time and not have to live lives in chronological order. So I would never ever 100% say what I believe is right, or what I believe is wrong, or what you believe is wrong. And a lot of things with this kind of topic is, some of it is theory, some of it we cannot prove, and it's about trusting what feels right for you. Do I feel we relive a life? I do feel that we relive the lessons in certain lifetimes. So if there was something in a past life for me and I didn't do well with it, a lot of the similar learning could possibly come forward for me to kind of have another crack at it with a bit of a different flavor, or something different. There is no time. Can our souls cross timelines? The soul is non-physical, so it is possible that we can cross lifetimes, or be having more than one experience at the same time. I don't feel that it is necessarily in a chronological order, because with what Spirit has shown me before we come into a life, we're kind of offered different experiences, and we say, okay, I'll take that one. I'll take that learning this time. So I don't feel like everything is mapped out, and everything is in this chronological order. I don't feel that, and I didn't see it that way when when I was over on the other side, I didn't feel it that way at all. I felt like there are no here's the lessons that you got to learn. Which one you are you going? Here's your spirit family that's going to help you. Here's your spirit council that's going to help you. And here is some learning that your soul has tried before, and it may not have you may not have gotten gotten it all in that timeline. And I also think, and I want to remind you, I also think that we are given choice and free will, and that's a big thing too. We're not everything is mapped out here. The choice and free will factor, we're given that when we come, and that's really important to acknowledge too, right? I could have chosen not to pick up the mediumship. I could have chosen not to, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to be you didn't do the mediumship part this journey. You have to do it again. Not this. We're not. It's not punishment. It's all love and it's all learning what's best for our soul. Okay, Joy. The last few weeks, I remember to myself, think, hold on, new day, new hour, new minute, new chances. Love that, Joy. Thanks for sharing those words. So I believe reliving one could be possible too. I'm curious about your point of view. When I say reliving, I don't. I feel that it wouldn't necessarily be reliving the same lifetime. I'm not so sure with that. I don't connect with that. If we're reliving the same experience, I don't quite. I don't resonate there. But Shy, if you do, then that's perfectly okay if that resonates with you. And like I always say, what resonates with you, pick it up. If it doesn't, leave it there. I don't feel that though. I don't feel like we relive the same lifetime. Um, did my brother, who I don't talk to, get my message on our birth mom's passing? I feel really uncertain with that Horizon Phoenix. I sat with that for a couple extra seconds because I didn't feel that he has an awareness of that news. I don't feel that he does. Um, Try. The reason I'm asking is because last night before I fell asleep, suddenly felt like I have lived this life before. Okay, so Shy, here's the thing. So and here's my thoughts on that. So the soul has its own memory, right? Which is why when we tap into past life regression, the soul remembers every experience you've either had, and this is almost the exact words from the Brian Weiss script. Your soul remembers every experience you've ever had in this body or in any other body. Your brain does not. So you said something interesting about before I fell asleep. So before you fell asleep, your mind was probably a little bit quiet, so you were able to tap in there. Your soul has the knowledge of what you're up to in this physical lifetime, because before you came here, this it was like given to you, like here's your lessons. So your soul is remembering. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you lived this lifetime before. It means that you're tapping into the knowledge within your soul. If that makes sense there, Shy. And again, whatever resonates with you, Cheyenne, it's perfectly okay. I would never sit here and say this is the only way it is, because I don't believe I have all the answers. I can only share my experiences. Right. So, if it doesn't resonate with you, perfectly okay. And I think that's really important, to kind of take note. If I'm ever listening to either a podcast or anybody giving, any kind of spiritual teaching, as soon as they go into this is 100% the way it needs to be, or you're doing it wrong, I'm out. I'm out because I truly don't believe they're you can have your thoughts and you can have what you believe is your truth, and you can teach people, but that doesn't mean it's the only way. But I don't, I'm very firm on that, right? I don't, spirituality is not controlled, and it's not a control thing. And if it ever feels that way, you've got to ask yourself, what brings truth to me out of this lecture, and just not, don't pick it up. But spirituality is not dictated as this is the only way. Right. So, and spirit has literally said that to me before. It comes down to the choice and free will, and it comes down to what resonates, and it comes down to a lot of that. So, always keep that in the back of your mind. It's not like a math equation where 1 + 1 = 2. right? So it's just so important, and I'm very, very passionate about that piece of it. It's the same thing where if somebody says, just an example, this is just an example. If somebody says rose quartz is the only crystal for unconditional love, you can't use amethyst and you can't use citrine, right? You can only use rose quartz. That to me, like, that makes no sense, right? So it's those kinds of things that I always have my spidey senses on, and I will stop and say, well, that's not kind of what I believe. Like, why would only one crystal bring you unconditional love, right? Why is it the energy of only one? So it's those kinds of things. Just kind of watch, because we can be in. I'm going to say this very lovingly. We can be programmed by other people just based on our desire to follow people, or based on our desire to tap in or to grow or to learn. Always ask yourself, and here it is. It's that clarity, right? Does that feel right to you? Does that feel like truth? Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Always ask yourself, resonate or not resonate. Okay. Kayla, too many times. That's why I bubble myself and protect my energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also do a lot of work with protecting my energy. I also do a lot of work on recharging my energy, because I do give a lot of my energy too. The one thing that I do say to spirit, this is a if it's I offer it to people. If they want to pick it up, they can. And I always say to people, can you help me? And I'll say, yeah, I can send you some energy. And they're very grateful for that. But the people, if you ask and not always like just throw it out at them. And it's a beautiful space that helps protect too, because I'm very much okay if people want some energy to be able to take it, but I always plug myself in and recharge. 1.5 hours sleep last night. Yeah, I didn't sleep the best either last night. Not terrible. I didn't sleep terrible, but it wasn't as solid as I normally would sleep. Uh, I don't need sleep problems. I don't think any of us need sleep problems. And I think with the sleep is sometimes we take too many things to bed too. So I work really hard to not take things to bed with me, right? I try to do a lot of my journaling and my processing and my putting down early in the day. That has helped me a lot. Lan, I'm curious if Spirit has a message for me. My grandma, her death anniversary of 14 years was yesterday. Maybe a message from grandma and grandpa. I suddenly felt myself being like really, really, like really, really love squeeze. When grandparents kind of really give you that tight, tight squeeze. I felt that tight, tight squeeze. I also feel though, Joy, that you have felt um both of them a lot since their passing. I just feel like it was like, oh, that was you. And that was you. And what they're saying is you are absolutely tapping into them on your own in a beautiful, glorious way. I also feel like it is I feel like we're coming into a lot of new ways of supporting family members as well. There's something here about a new way of supporting. Just kind of remember that I said it. Um, Maria Smith, has my son Spirit tried to reach me? Absolutely. So spirit is always around us. They're always reaching out. They're always trying to let us know that they're okay. Some people, Maria, get that in different ways, as a feeling or as a spirit sign. And what I always say to people, Maria, is if you see, let's say, a cardinal comes to visit you, and you tap into that for a moment. If you just feel it, do you feel your son's energy? Does he come into your awareness? I also feel very much that he like it's like I sit right beside you when I'm quiet. So I can feel him like literally it's almost on top of you. I and when you're but I feel like I've got a quiet. It's almost like there's a lot of like a lot of thoughts, and he waits for you to just kind of like feel quietly. I also see a lot of flickering of lights in behind me in my peripherals. It's almost like that trying to get your attention. So I feel like either when you kind of think, is someone there? Is someone there? That's how I feel it. I feel like he's trying to get your awareness to him through your peripheral vision. I hope that helps you there, Maria. Um, Dee, I get tired of being the glue holding everything and everyone together. Perhaps I don't need to be. No, you don't. I think, and here's one thing, that you can kind of lean in there. I think it's important that you put out an energy, or everybody knows that they matter, and that, but you matter too. And I think that if, and here's one thing, Dee, when you find yourself always chasing people, or, and I don't want to use the word forcing people, but almost like that, chasing, right? Or insisting, like, let's get together, let's get together, let's get together, and always the one that's putting it out. Sometimes we've trained people that we're the ones that do it. So, because we do, and I found myself guilty of that myself, where I'll be the one to do it. I'll be the one to do it. I'll be the one to do it. And people really get used to, our energy being that way. So, if you're always the one that's gluing people together, sometimes you got to hand over the glue stick. They have to participate in that, keeping that loving energy out, keeping that loving energy there. But, you know, turn it over to them sometime. Right. So I'll give you an example. Let's say it's like a family's a distance thing, or, I'll say, you can put out a message. If you want to get together sometime for coffee, reach out to me, and you see how you're handing them the glue stick, right? Or I'll use you and I as an example. Didi, if you want to get together this summer, let me know when you're free. So, so that I'm giving you the glue stick. If you want to stay connected to me, I'm going to give you the glue stick too. So, because I think when we take over, sometimes we do train people. Oh, that they'll do it. Oh, they'll do it. And then we do lean into that people pleasing part of us too. But there's a loving way of handing somebody else the glue stick, with just simply saying, if you want to get together sometime, reach out to me. That shows that the door is open, but now it's their turn. Make sense? All right. And I think sometimes too, is sometimes it's not necessarily an intentional thing. I do feel that sometimes, families included, we get so busy that we don't just stop and pause and say, "Oh my gosh, it's almost the end of May and we haven't made any plans together." I think sometimes it's unintentional too. And I think sometimes we have to kind of keep that in the back of our awareness, that it's not always intentional. I had a realization the other night that one of my teachers that bullied me had issues with me in a previous lifetime. Past life, past life stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Past life stuff. And, we're often, come back to have another crack at that, to be able to heal that relationship, or to learn at that. And sometimes the learning is just simply stepping back, right? I didn't step back last lifetime. This lifetime I got to step back. Maybe last lifetime you fought tooth and nail, and this lifetime it's about stepping back. And sometimes we're teaching them. Right, we don't always have to be involved in the nitty gritty of the teaching. I'm just going to step back out of that, or I'm going to speak up this time. Right. My beautiful pup is continuing to have seizures and has now been diagnosed with a mast cell cancer tumor. Could you please send me a shout out to our little boss, in your healing work? Thank you. Absolutely, I will. Absolutely. Oh, my brain, let it go, let it go. Absolutely, let it go. I'm in a bit of a goofy mood. Excuse me. No, I won't excuse you, Cheyenne. I want you to enjoy your goofy mood. I want you to enjoy that vibration. I want you to have fun with it. So there's no need to apologize. Have fun with it. Don't start that song. Too late. It's already in my head. Oh, you guys are so funny. I love it so much. Spring. Kayla, I had a busy weekend, but it wasn't bad. I did have the opportunity to heal and release some stuff with my mom, which is awesome. But now I've got stuff with my kids to deal with. Sending you love and support there, Spring. And I think sometimes too, when it comes to our kids, or anybody that that's really, really in the heart space, sometimes it's hard to watch them learn their lessons. Right? Sometimes and sometimes, I always ask myself, if I fix it, am I getting in the way of their learning? Because they're going to have to learn a lesson, down the road again. But if I support them through their learning, it has a very different feel. I'm going to support them. I'm going to love them through their lessons, whether it be friends or family. I always ask myself, if I get involved, if I fix it, am I just putting off the lessons that they need to learn. But if I journey with them, excuse me, if I journey with them, I'm helping them and supporting them through the lessons that they need to learn. And how many times, not necessarily you, Spring, but how many times have you helped or fixed something for someone, and like a week, 3 months, or a year later, they repeated the exact same lesson? How many times does that happen? And then you're in there again. Even in relationships, I've done that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fix that for you. Step aside, in I come, fix it. Step out, give it back to them, and it's like a month later, and you're having the conversation. Did you not learn the first time? And it's literally, no, I didn't learn the first time because you fixed it for me. So, and I chuckle because it's so true. For every single one of us has to learn our lessons, and the best thing to do is support them through the learning. I'm going to stand right here and hold you. I'm going to stand right here and love you. I'm going to stand right here and take every step with you, but you're going through it. And I say that with a chuckle because I think every single one of us at some point has done that, right? I'm going to come in and I'm going to fix it. Lana to the rescue. Spring to the rescue. Fix it, right? People, and it's the same thing with all of us. If we don't learn our lessons, we usually repeat it. um Thank you, Lana. He's not very spiritual. However, I'm very witchy and very spiritual. We are two very different people, but we attract. Yeah, right. And I think that that's great. Now, when I felt that, I felt you were two very, very different people, and that's probably why I felt with the spiritual stuff. You can just put it out there and serve it, and whatever he picks up, and it's very much okay. And here's one thing that I've learned with I've even lost followers over the word witchy. So anyway, but I feel like you're allowed to have your different of opinions. You're allowed to have your different thoughts and spirituality, and that's so important. Everybody in their own lane, and it works. People don't have to resonate with everything that you do and everything that you say. I've got a lot of spiritual practices that people look at me and think I'm right lunitude, but that's what works for me. That's what helps me ground. That's what helps me let go. That's what helps me, with energy. And everybody in their own lane, right? And I think that that's such a beautiful space, but we attract, and that's because there's I feel it as an allowing energy. There's no judgment for your witchy practices. There's no judgment. You do you, I'll do me, and we'll do that together. And that's how I feel it's supposed to be, right? We don't have to be an exact, cookie cutout of a partner or a friendship. I've got really good friends, you guys, that think I'm nuts. And that's okay. They support me from their own lane. Right. And then I've got, my group of really spiritual people. And I've got, different friends in different lanes. And it's all okay. It's the allowing people to be who they are without judging, and with supporting, and with, yeah, I think you're nuts, but I'm gonna cheer for you. Right. That's so important. I think I told you guys the story. It might be in a video about a really, really good friend of mine who wouldn't even talk about what I do. He was like a hard no. Um but he never missed a live that I did, and he never at any event that I did, whether it be local or not, he always bought a ticket. Never showed up, but always bought a ticket. And it's because, and bless his heart, he's been gone a few years, but bless his heart, it was never about judgment in our friendship. He didn't have to understand what I do. He didn't have to attend any of my events for me to say, we were besties. He didn't have to do any of that. And and that's unconditional love, in my opinion, right? Right. Like, when I say hard no, I mean hard no with it. But yeah, so anyway, Fran, today's the 12th anniversary of my mom's death. I'm waiting for her to visit. So, Fran, I just want to help you really lean in with that magic that she is coming in with. Instead of waiting for her to visit, I just want to say, Mom, I know you're here. And because how she comes in and the magic that she brings in may come at you in a completely different way. So I always say to Spirit, I know you're here, and I'm excited to see it. Right. So, because they are already here. It's where our tuners are and where the energy is at, sometimes that we catch it. Right. Um Oh, friend, I suddenly got, and I'm not, I know, an overly emotional thing, but I suddenly felt a lot of emotion. And and what she's saying to me right now is, I'll always hold you in love. I'll always hold you in love. I had to say that to you, friend. I went to scroll and I couldn't. I was thinking about a blackbird too. Blackbird sings broken wings. There you guys are gonna have all these songs in our heads today. Ooh, I gotta watch the time. Look at it go. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. Learn to live so free. When we hear the angels sing, the book of love will open up and let us in. Beautiful words, Tabitha. I think trusting spirit is a hard thing for me. It was a hard thing for me too. I think I have a difficult time with knowing it's from my own thoughts. Hope one day I can get there with spirit. I love how you worded that, Tabitha. And I know there's quite a few of my mentoring students that are on here this morning. I see a few of them on here. And I think one of the most common things that my mentoring students say is these exact words. I think trusting spirit is hard because I can't tell the difference between my thoughts and theirs. One thing with spirit, though, too, is I want you to remember is spirit often comes at us with thoughts. I'll get a thought in my brain and it's like, okay, it's mine or not mine. Is it mine or spirits? And then we spend some time trying to overthink that. When it comes to the thoughts and learning to trust the thoughts that we get, I usually say to my mentoring students, do you usually just walk around making stuff up? Like, do you normally just like make stuff up? And 99.9% of the students that I've worked with said no, but these thoughts come in. So when we start to acknowledge the thoughts, when we start to acknowledge this is what I know, this is what I hear, this is what I and I'm going to lean into it just a little bit, or I'm just going to acknowledge it. Can be the first step. I'm going to acknowledge that thought. Thank you. I'm going to acknowledge that thought. Then the trust can start to build. There is not this huge aha, that spirit, big voice, Lana, go turn right. It doesn't work that way. It can be the soft, subtle thought. And when we journal it, and that's one thing you can start doing, Tabitha, is maybe just journal it without judgment. I'm just gonna write down, this is the thought that I got today. I'm just gonna write it down. I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm not gonna trust it or not trust it. I'm just gonna put it down. And when we kind of navigate through, then we start to have the quieting down of all the extra thoughts, right? All the extra thoughts. Spirit comes at us always from a loving space, always from that loving support. It always feels, even when it's hard, even when spirit has to tell me something very difficult, it comes at me from a very soft, loving space. It never feels like that anger or hateful or deceitful. It feels very loving. I would suggest starting there, Tabitha. Just start writing. I'm just going to acknowledge that I had this today. Whether or not it's mine or spirits, I don't know. But if spirit's coming to you with a thought, technically it's your thought, right? It's just coming into you that way. And trust is something that we slowly, slowly build. And I love how you worded that. Hope one day I can get there with spirit. You are getting there with spirit. You are getting there with spirit. Well, little bit by little bit, learning by learning, showing up for, to just to feel into things and start with the basics. Should I turn right or should I turn left? Right? Just those little wee things, um, you know, end up having huge results. Um, Lana, can we relearn the lessons we don't learn here on another planet? Absolutely. 100%. I know there are many other dimensions that we're not aware of. I know I'm big on that one. You can have other experiences in other dimensions, and you can relearn the lessons there. Arlene, Len, I'm curious. My happy place is historic 18th century places. Is that the is that last life related? So when we have this big pull, when we have this deep curiosity or this deep resonating to a timeline or a place, 99% of the time it's your soul recognizing it. Absolutely. And I've seen this over and over and over again. When people come to me for past life regression, one of the first things I ask them is, do you have any connection to a past timeline? Do you resonate to anything very deeply, and do you have any irrational fears? I just kind of ask them and I don't tell them why. I just want to know, right? Because that is usually your soul remembering something, a very deep passion for something that is like deeper than a general interest, right? So for me, and I've talked about this before, for me it's anything Celtic. From the time I was young, I loved anything Celtic, Celtic music, Celtic festivals, anything gypsy. I've always had that, that gypsy witchy thing going on. And sure enough, during my first few regressions, I had multiple lifetimes in that exact space. So it makes a lot of sense to me now. Now I know why. Now I'm not crazy that when the bagpipes play, I'm on the ground bawling like a baby. I understand, right? So yeah, so absolutely, you probably had a significant lifetime in the 1800s. That was a great question, by the way. I've had a hell of a week. Are there and there are some little things yet to come. Any messages for me about it? Rami, I need you to get yourself grounded. I need you to get yourself rolling around and letting go of that hell of a week. Don't carry it on from day to day. I always wondered what my unborn sibling was, a boy or a girl. My mom had a miscarriage early on and always wondered if it was another sister or brother. So sometimes, Olandra, when you tap into that energetically, and the soul enters in at different times, right? So there's not an exact precise moment at X number of weeks pregnancy, in comes the soul. It can come at any time. So sometimes that can be a little bit harder to lean into, and energy and gender can be two different things, right? So, but when I lean in there energetically, I don't pick up on a gender, but I do pick up on an energy, and I feel it. I feel it very much. That soft light, very soft and light, with feminine energy being really, really strong and really, really dominant. That's how I'm feeling that, but I'm not 100% sure that I can narrow that down precisely. Just a quick question. um, I don't feel like she was pregnant long, so it's probably. I think you actually said that early on. Yeah, see, it's the early on. Sometimes we don't know yet, right? Sometimes it's really hard to narrow that down, because it depends on when the physical body and the soul are very different, and depending on whether or not that was even assigned, right? Um, Wow, thank you, Len. I find it so interesting because I feel like reminiscing the past lives that I know I had, and I somewhat know the bigger part of why I'm having these lifetimes. Okay, you guys, I am over time. I am over time. I know there's several questions that I didn't get to. My apologies. I always try really hard to get to as many as that I can, but I have to. I could hang out here all day if I didn't have to work. I feel like I got to do both books today. And I have to check and see if I'm here on Wednesday. I didn't do that. Monday, Tuesday. Let's see. All right. 203. All of your prayers are heard and answered. The more you believe this, the better and faster the outcome. Trust. Wow. Trust was literally the last word on that. I don't know if I can get it. You guys see that? The last word is trust. There you go. Wow. Okay. What do we need to know? We got the instructions. I'm sorry. I don't think we need the instructions on how to use the animal book. Oh, Firefly. That might be a new one. You're burning the candle at both ends in order to meet your goals, yet in spite of this, you're not being as creative and productive as you'd like to be. You've done the necessary preparation for the desired outcome, so you can now enjoy the manifestation of that vision. Pay close attention to your own natural biorhythms and coordinate your activities with the ebb and flow of your energy. You're awakening to your spiritual gifts and feeling called to offer your light to your family members, friends, and community. You're now following the truth of your soul's path, yet it's important to be alert to any tendencies to get distracted by old habits, patterns, or other agendas for you. To be more efficient with your efforts so you don't expend more energy than you need to in order to get the work done. Be more efficient. I love that. I love that. Freshen up. That's interesting, eh? When we talked about the spiritual awakening, there was something else I wanted to kind of go over. So we talked about putting things down, right? So here in that it's important to be alert to any tendencies to get distracted by old habits. I'm not sure we've ever done the firefly before. It's not it's not coming into my memory bank. All right, you guys. Spiritual deodorant. Yeah, absolutely. And that can be and that can be a really good visual for you when you're putting on your spiritual your actual deodorant. You can just say spiritual deodorant on. Check. Now I have the song Fireflies in my head. You guys are so funny. Um Wednesday, I will not be here. I will see you Friday. Friday morning, our usual time, 8:30 a.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. We'll take some Ask the Medium questions. I get to spend the day on a farm. On Wednesday, I will be doing a lot of animal communications, so I won't be here. Andrea Banks, hit that like button. Thank you, Lana. Get out of my goofball energy. See everyone Friday. Have a great week. I love you guys so much. As always, I'm wishing you love, light, blessings, and have a spirit guided day. Take care, you guys. I'll see you Friday. Much love.